Doctor warns, the worst poison, destroying your nerves and causing neuropathy. For anyone who has endured the alarming sensation of their feet consistently tingling or feeling as though they are asleep during the quiet hours of the night, or who experiences a bewildering numbness in their hands that appears without any obvious, immediate cause, or perhaps struggles with the deeply distressing onset of burning, sharp, incapacitating stabbing, or an intense, unpredictable electric shock-like pain that has unfortunately defied satisfactory diagnosis or explanation from countless medical professionals, it is absolutely vital to dedicate your full attention to the ensuing moments. The profound information that is about to be unveiled holds the key to understanding precisely why your exquisitely sensitive nerves are undergoing such profound suffering and, far more importantly, offers a tangible strategy to halt this relentless damage in its tracks before it progresses to a point of no return, becoming an irreparable, permanent condition. This essential conversation moves beyond the limited scope of merely alleviating symptoms or managing ongoing discomfort. Instead, its paramount objective is the active, preemptive protection of your intricate nervous system, seizing this crucial opportunity while effective intervention remains possible. Allow me to articulate a crystal clear and unwavering promise right from the outset. By the time this comprehensive video concludes, you will possess an unparalleled insight into the singular, most insidious and devastating poison that is currently mercilessly attacking the vulnerable nerves of senior individuals across the globe. This isn't some rare or exotic threat. It's an omnipresent toxin that an alarming majority of people encounter and are exposed to in their daily lives, often without the slightest awareness of its destructive power. Consequently, you will be equipped with the exact knowledge required to identify what factors specifically place you at significant risk and, critically, precisely what decisive changes must be implemented in your daily routine and dietary habits. Not to be postponed until a future date, but to be acted upon with immediate urgency starting today. My name is Dr. Robert Harrison, and my professional journey, spanning several decades, has been wholly dedicated to diligently treating countless seniors afflicted with chronic nerve pain, persistent numbness, the burning torment of neuropathic feet, debilitating loss of balance, and the complex condition broadly referred to as neuropathy, a challenge many are regretfully told they simply must learn to live with. One of the most profoundly frustrating and disheartening observations throughout my extensive career has been the pervasive tendency for individuals to receive an incorrect or incomplete narrative regarding the underlying causes of their declining nerve health. All too frequently, they are mistakenly informed that their symptoms are merely an unavoidable consequence of advancing age, an unfortunate genetic predisposition, or an inevitable part of the aging process. Yet, in a great many of these cases, such explanations are demonstrably inaccurate and misleading. Therefore, I now pose a direct and deeply significant question, serving as a vital call to immediate action. Have you personally experienced any form of persistent tingling, chronic numbness, or that telltale burning sensation in your hands or feet? And, perhaps even more startling, did you genuinely realize that fluctuations in your blood sugar levels could be actively inflicting damage upon your delicate nerves, even if you have never received a formal diagnosis of diabetes? Your candid response to this question in the comments section below is invaluable, as heightened awareness constitutes the very first and most formidable line of defense against this silent assailant. Once nerve damage transgresses a certain critical threshold, unfortunately, the chances for comprehensive reversal become exceptionally slim. We rarely are afforded second opportunities for genuine recovery. Consider the illuminating case of Frank, a spry 68-year-old gentleman who had recently embarked upon the well-deserved phase of retirement and maintained an impressively active lifestyle. Despite his vitality, Frank found himself plagued by intense burning sensations in his feet each night, while his toes felt perpetually numb throughout the day. Occasionally, without any prior warning, sharp, electric-like pains would abruptly shoot through his legs, causing considerable distress. His previous medical consultations offered only vague explanations, attributing his symptoms to the natural process of aging, potential circulatory issues, or simply categorizing it as one of those things people must endure. However, upon a deeper, more meticulous investigation into his daily habits and physiological markers, we uncovered a startlingly different reality. Frank was being unknowingly exposed to a daily, seemingly innocuous substance, something he had always considered perfectly harmless, which was, in fact, gradually and insidiously poisoning his vulnerable nerve tissue. The moment this hidden culprit was systematically removed from his routine, the established nerve damage, while not miraculously reversing overnight, decisively ceased its relentless progression. This pivotal intervention utterly transformed his prognosis and quality of life. This leads to a crucial, lingering question for you to ponder. What exactly was this hidden, nerve-damaging poison? And how many countless seniors are inadvertently supplying this detrimental substance to their bodies every single day, completely unaware of its profound implications? To genuinely comprehend the answer, it is essential to grasp a fundamental truth about our nervous system. Nerves are not mere inert electrical wires. Far from it, they are exceptionally delicate, living biological tissues, intricate structures that are utterly dependent upon a constant, optimal supply of oxygen, a rich array of vital nutrients, and the maintenance of an exquisitely stable internal chemical environment to function with precision. In stark contrast to the comparatively robust and regenerative capacities of skin or muscle tissue, nerves exhibit an agonizingly slow and limited capacity for healing and regeneration. This critical biological reality means that any damage inflicted upon them tends to accumulate silently, often imperceptibly, over extended periods. Long before the insidious onset of noticeable pain, the faint prickle of tingling, or the unwelcome sensation of numbness alerts you to a problem, your precious nerves may have already been under relentless attack, silently deteriorating beneath the surface. Now, we approach a truth that many might find profoundly uncomfortable, yet it is indispensable for understanding. The most pernicious poison currently ravaging the nerves of senior individuals is not some dramatic or overtly toxic industrial chemical, nor is it a rare exotic toxin. It is not even alcohol consumed in isolation as the primary culprit. Instead, the most devastating neurotoxin is something far more ubiquitous, a substance that countless seniors are, paradoxically, often encouraged to consume regularly as part of what is mistakenly perceived as a healthy diet. The most potent and widespread poison systematically destroying your nerves is, without doubt, chronic blood sugar toxicity. And this particular insight is absolutely critical for comprehensive understanding. You do not, I repeat, do not need to have a formal diagnosis of full-blown diabetes for elevated blood sugar levels to unleash their destructive potential upon your nerves. You only need to experience repeated, uncontrolled spikes in your blood sugar. Alarmingly, millions of seniors confront and endure these detrimental blood sugar spikes on a daily basis, utterly unaware of the internal damage they are incurring. When the concentration of sugar in the bloodstream rises beyond healthy physiological limits, these excess sugar molecules aggressively attach themselves to the delicate nerve fibers themselves and, equally critically, to the minuscule blood vessels that are responsible for nourishing these vital nerve structures. This biochemical adhesion triggers a cascade of detrimental events, including widespread inflammation, an onslaught of oxidative stress, where harmful free radicals overwhelm the body's antioxidant defenses, and direct damage to the crucial protective coating known as myelin, that insulates and shields nerve fibers. Over a protracted period, this incessant assault gradually erodes the nerve's inherent ability to transmit clear, efficient electrical signals. This is precisely when the initial, subtle signs emerge. The faint tingling begins, subsequently progressing to persistent numbness, then evolving into the searing sensation of burning, escalating further into overt pain, and ultimately culminating in a significant loss of balance and coordination. One of the most pervasive and misleading myths prevalent in senior health discourse is the notion that neuropathy suddenly manifests without warning. This is patently false. It develops stealthily and silently, often over many years, as this insidious poison continues its destructive work in the background, out of sight and out of mind. Allow me to pose another question of paramount importance. Have you ever been informed by a healthcare professional that you are borderline diabetic, or that you have prediabetes, or perhaps simply that your blood sugar is a little high, but nothing too serious? This seemingly mild pronouncement is, in many instances, precisely where the insidious process of nerve damage commences. In fact, contemporary research and numerous studies now unequivocally demonstrate that prediabetes causes nerve damage almost as frequently and severely as full-fledged diabetes itself. The critical distinction lies in the alarming reality that the vast majority of individuals living with prediabetes remain entirely unaware of their condition, thus losing precious time for early intervention. At this juncture, it is vital to pause and address a common counter-argument. Many individuals, upon hearing this information, express genuine disbelief, exclaiming, "But I eat healthily, and I genuinely believe I do." It is important to acknowledge that most of my patients, much like yourself, sincerely believe they are making healthy dietary choices, and therein lies the profound problem. This poison is anything but obvious. It masterfully hides within foods and dietary habits that, on the surface, present themselves as perfectly wholesome, even beneficial. Let us meticulously trace, step by step, the intricate mechanism by which this insidious poison exerts its damaging effects. First, you consume a food item that triggers a rapid and significant spike in your blood sugar levels. In response, your pancreas releases a surge of insulin, a hormone designed to transport this sugar from the bloodstream into your body cells for energy. Over an extended period, through repeated high-sugar exposures, your cells gradually develop a resistance to insulin, meaning they no longer respond as effectively to its signals. Consequently, the sugar remains trapped in your bloodstream for prolonged durations, circulating at dangerously elevated concentrations. Your nerves, particularly the exceptionally long nerves that extend all the way down to your feet and out to your hands, are then relentlessly exposed to these toxic levels of sugar day after day, year after year. Simultaneously, the minute, delicate blood vessels responsible for providing these crucial nerves with their life-sustaining blood supply become increasingly damaged. This compromised circulation leads to a critical reduction in oxygen delivery, essentially causing the nerves to slowly but surely starve of the vital resources they need to survive and function. And because this entire degenerative process unfolds with such agonizing gradualness, most people fail to connect the dots between their diet and their symptoms. They often utter phrases like, "It came out of nowhere," when, in stark reality, the damage has been painstakingly accumulating and building for many years. Here arises another thought-provoking open question. If chronic blood sugar toxicity is indeed so immensely damaging, why then do not all seniors with consistently high sugar levels invariably develop neuropathy? The answer lies in the complex interplay of several factors: the frequency of exposure to elevated blood sugar, the total duration of this exposure over time, and the inherent individual resilience of their nerve tissues. Some nerves possess a greater innate capacity to tolerate prolonged abuse and higher levels of toxic sugar before succumbing to damage. However, once the accumulated damage breaches a certain critical threshold, discernible symptoms invariably appear, and once they do, they often accelerate their progression with alarming speed. Now, let's concretely discuss the practical, everyday sources from which this pervasive poison originates and infiltrates our daily lives. The primary and most significant source is undoubtedly liquid sugar in its various forms. This includes seemingly innocuous fruit juice, the ubiquitous sweetened coffee beverages, popular sports drinks often marketed as healthy, and even many of the so-called healthy smoothies that are widely consumed. Liquid sugar, crucially, enters the bloodstream with astonishing rapidity because it lacks any significant dietary fiber to slow down its absorption rate. This immediate influx creates exceptionally sharp and sudden blood sugar spikes that directly inflict harm upon delicate nerve cells. Tragically, seniors are frequently advised that fruit juice represents an easy and convenient source of nutrition. In reality, it stands as one of the fastest and most efficient pathways for introducing nerve-damaging toxins into their system. The second major source of this insidious poison consists of refined carbohydrates, particularly when they are consumed in isolation, without the beneficial presence of protein or healthy fats. This category encompasses staples such as white bread, many breakfast cereals, processed crackers, white rice, and conventional pasta. These foods are rapidly broken down into simple sugars upon digestion. Seniors are often encouraged to consume easy-to-digest foods, yet this very characteristic of easy digestion often equates to an alarmingly rapid release of sugar into the bloodstream. This surge of sugar then has nowhere to go but directly into the circulatory system and, consequently, into contact with vulnerable nerve tissue. The third significant source is the pervasive habit of constant, habitual snacking throughout the day. When insulin levels remain perpetually elevated due to frequent eating, the nerves are never afforded a vital period of rest or recovery. There is no crucial recovery window during which they can repair themselves and stabilize. This is precisely why the practice of grazing or continuous eating is especially detrimental and profoundly harmful for optimal nerve health. Nerves absolutely require stable physiological conditions and consistent blood sugar levels to survive and function correctly. Constant exposure to fluctuating, often elevated sugar levels keeps them in a perpetual state of inflammation and stress. Furthermore, here is a critical piece of information that most people regrettably never encounter. Certain widely prescribed medications can quietly exacerbate existing nerve damage by subtly interfering with the body's ability to absorb essential nutrients, particularly the crucial B vitamins. Specifically, a number of acid-blocking medications, various diabetes drugs, and certain cholesterol-lowering medications have been clinically shown to deplete the body's reserves of vitamin B12 over time. Vitamin B12, often referred to as the nerve vitamin, is absolutely essential for the maintenance and repair of the protective myelin sheath that encases and insulates nerve fibers, facilitating efficient signal transmission. Without an adequate supply of B12, nerves become inherently fragile, vulnerable, and prone to misfiring, leading to impaired function. Allow me to illustrate this with the experience of Susan. For many years, Susan suffered from inexplicably numb feet. Her doctors repeatedly attributed her symptoms to the inevitable process of aging. However, when we conducted thorough testing of her nutrient levels, we discovered she was severely deficient in vitamin B12. The underlying cause was not her dietary choices, which were generally sound. Rather, it was a common medication she had been faithfully taking for years without understanding its long-term side effects. Once this critical nutrient deficiency was identified and systematically corrected through supplementation, her nerve damage, while not fully reversing, demonstrably stopped progressing, preventing further deterioration. This crucial intervention made an immeasurable difference to her quality of life and future mobility. It is paramount to recognize that neuropathy is very rarely caused by a single, isolated factor. More often, it emerges as a complex interplay and unfortunate combination of chronic blood sugar toxicity, pervasive inflammation, significant nutrient depletion, and often compromised circulation. However, without question, chronic blood sugar toxicity acts as the primary accelerant. It is the gasoline on the fire, dramatically intensifying all other contributing factors. This understanding is profoundly important because nerves, like all living tissues, possess a specific tipping point. Early-stage damage may manifest as relatively mild tingling or a slight numbness. However, if left unchecked, later-stage damage progresses to severe, debilitating pain, significant problems with balance and coordination, an increased risk of dangerous falls, and ultimately, a profound loss of personal independence. Once the delicate nerve cells completely die, their capacity to regenerate is extraordinarily limited, making reversal exceptionally difficult, if not impossible. This stark reality underscores why halting the poison early in its destructive cycle is so critically important. Here is a message I want you to absorb with absolute clarity. While neuropathy is regrettably not always fully reversible, in a vast number of cases, its progression can be effectively prevented from worsening. And this achievement alone, the arrest of further damage, possesses the immense power to preserve your existing quality of life, maintain your independence, and mitigate future suffering. This brings us directly to the most vital question of all, one that marks the transition to actionable solutions. If, as established, chronic blood sugar toxicity serves as the primary poison relentlessly attacking your nerves, what tangible actions can be taken to neutralize its devastating effects? What specific strategies can be employed to robustly protect delicate nerve tissue? And what simple, yet profoundly impactful changes can seniors genuinely implement in their daily lives to prevent the further progression of insidious nerve damage? In the subsequent segment of this comprehensive discussion, I will delineate precisely how to meticulously identify those often hidden blood sugar spikes that silently wreak havoc, reveal the single, most crucial eating rule that offers potent protection for your nerves, highlight the specific and indispensable nutrients that your nerves desperately require after the age of 60, and crucially, empower you to discern whether your existing nerve damage might still reside within a stage where some degree of reversibility is genuinely possible. Now let us delve into the practical strategies that truly empower you and restore a sense of control over your health. If we accept that chronic blood sugar toxicity is indeed the silent, relentless poison quietly devouring your precious nerves, then the pressing questions become, what truly neutralizes this pervasive threat? What specific interventions can effectively safeguard and protect delicate nerve tissue from further assault? And perhaps most realistically, what concrete steps can you, as a senior individual, not as a medical professional demanding extreme adherence, nor as a fitness fanatic with unlimited time and resources, genuinely undertake to experience significantly less pain, achieve markedly improved balance, and confidently build a future characterized by greater independence and vitality? This is the juncture where many individuals instinctively anticipate complex, convoluted answers, perhaps envisioning highly restrictive and extreme diets, exorbitantly expensive medical treatments, or the elusive promise of miraculous supplements. The truth, however, is far simpler, and it is precisely this simplicity that often leads to it being tragically overlooked. The very first and unquestionably most pivotal step in safeguarding your nerves is the consistent stabilization of your blood sugar levels. This does not imply aggressively driving them to abnormally low levels, nor does it necessitate the relentless pursuit of mathematically perfect numbers. Rather, the objective is to maintain a steady, consistent blood sugar profile. Nerves do not demand absolute perfection in blood sugar readings. What they fundamentally require is unwavering consistency. Each sudden, sharp spike in blood sugar is akin to inflicting a small, insidious chemical burn upon the sensitive nerve tissue. Logically, fewer such spikes translate directly into substantially less damage accumulation, and this foundational change alone possesses the remarkable capacity to significantly slow down, or even completely halt, the progressive deterioration of your nerves. Herein lies the single most crucial and impactful rule I impart to all seniors grappling with neuropathy, a rule that, astonishingly, most individuals have never encountered before. Absolutely never consume carbohydrates in isolation. This directive applies universally to all forms of carbohydrates, be it a piece of fruit, a slice of bread, a handful of crackers, or a bowl of cereal. When carbohydrates are ingested by themselves, without the tempering presence of other macronutrients, they are absorbed into the bloodstream far too rapidly. This swift absorption results in an immediate and sharp surge in blood sugar levels, triggering a powerful surge of insulin. During this chaotic period, the body's intrinsic nerve repair mechanisms effectively shut down, becoming overwhelmed. However, when those very same carbohydrates are mindfully consumed alongside a source of protein or healthy fat, their absorption into the bloodstream is dramatically slowed. The exact same food item that, when eaten alone, can inflict significant harm upon your nerves, becomes immeasurably safer and far less damaging when consumed thoughtfully and correctly as part of a balanced meal. This singular, powerful rule alone often elucidates why some seniors develop severe, debilitating neuropathy, while others, despite ostensibly similar overall diets, do not. It highlights that the critical factor is not always merely what you eat, but profoundly how you choose to eat it. Allow me to provide a compelling real-world example. James, a 74-year-old gentleman, sought my consultation because his legs felt persistently weak and alarmingly unsteady by the early afternoon, accompanied by the familiar burning torment in his feet at night and a constant numbness in his toes throughout the day. He genuinely believed he was maintaining an impeccably clean diet. Every morning, without fail, he would prepare and drink a large fruit smoothie containing bananas, mangoes, fruit juice, and yogurt. What James had failed to realize was that this potent liquid sugar mixture, devoid of substantial fiber, was hitting his bloodstream with explosive speed long before his muscles and nerves had any chance to establish protective metabolic defenses. We implemented a straightforward but transformative change. The problematic smoothie was eliminated, replaced by a nutritious breakfast of eggs and vegetables, and a small, carefully portioned serving of whole fruit was strategically moved to later in the day to be consumed after a meal. Within a mere few weeks, the intensity of his nerve pain significantly eased, his balance dramatically improved, and his sustained energy levels lasted considerably longer. No miraculous or esoteric intervention had occurred. We had simply, yet profoundly, ceased the daily poisoning of his delicate nerves. The second major, unequivocally vital step is the complete and absolute elimination of all forms of liquid sugar from your diet. This means absolutely no fruit juice, no sweetened beverages of any kind, and no smoothies as a standalone meal. Even 100% natural fruit juice, deceptively presented as healthy, is fundamentally pure, concentrated sugar devoid of the crucial fiber that protects your system. Fiber is the indispensable component that slows down the absorption of sugar, thereby protecting your nerves from sudden onslaughts. Without it, sugar infiltrates your system both rapidly and forcefully. Seniors are frequently encouraged to drink juice because it is perceived as easy to consume, gentle on the stomach, and often even recommended by well-meaning but misinformed sources. Regrettably, it is unequivocally one of the quickest and most potent ways to accelerate the worsening of existing neuropathy. If your desire is to consume fruit, then choose whole, unadulterated fruit, consume it in small, controlled portions, and, crucially, never on an empty stomach. Eating whole fruit. After. A substantial meal is an immeasurably safer and more nerve-protective practice than consuming fruit as an isolated snack. This single dietary modification alone possesses the capacity to dramatically reduce irritation and damage to your sensitive nerve endings. The third essential step involves comprehensive nutrient protection, a factor that is profoundly critical for nerve health. Nerves are exquisitely reliant upon specific, precise nutrients to maintain their complex structure and ensure their optimal function. Chief among these indispensable nutrients is vitamin B12. As previously mentioned, B12 is absolutely essential for the continuous maintenance and repair of the protective myelin sheath that encases and insulates nerve fibers. Without a sufficient and consistent supply of B12, nerves become exposed, inherently fragile, and prone to misfiring, leading to impaired sensation and function. It is a concerning reality that many seniors are deficient in B12 without even being aware of it, a risk particularly heightened for those regularly taking acid blockers or certain other long-term medications. However, B12 is by no means the sole nutrient upon which nerves critically depend. Magnesium plays a vital role in supporting healthy nerve signaling, helping to reduce problematic cramping and involuntary twitching. Folate, working in synergistic harmony with B12, is also crucial for protecting and maintaining the integrity of nerve tissue. Alpha-lipoic acid, a powerful antioxidant, has been extensively studied and shown to help reduce oxidative stress within nerves, and in some individuals, it has demonstrated an ability to significantly improve existing neuropathy symptoms. These essential nutrients, while not a cure for established nerve damage, are profoundly instrumental in stabilizing and protecting the remaining viable nerve tissue, preventing further degradation. Now, an exceedingly important caution must be issued. More is not necessarily better when it comes to supplementation. Certain vitamins, particularly vitamin B6, when consumed in inappropriately high doses, can paradoxically worsen existing nerve damage if taken incorrectly or without proper guidance. This critical fact underscores precisely why professional testing of nutrient levels and personalized medical guidance are absolutely paramount. Engaging in self-prescription or merely guessing at appropriate dosages can, in fact, be significantly harmful rather than beneficial. The fourth foundational step involves actively reducing chronic inflammation throughout the body. Inflammation, a complex physiological response, profoundly sensitizes nerves, effectively amplifying and intensifying pain signals. It has the detrimental effect of transforming what might otherwise be a mild nerve irritation into a severe, often unbearable burning or stabbing agony. Highly processed foods, commonly consumed refined seed oils such as corn, soy, and canola oil, and excessive quantities of sugar are all potent fuels for this systemic inflammation, continuously fanning its flames. Conversely, a diet rich in anti-inflammatory foods such as fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, high-quality extra virgin olive oil, an abundance of fresh vegetables, and beneficial spices like turmeric actively helps to calm and modulate inflammatory pathways within the body. Less systemic inflammation invariably translates to quieter, less irritated nerves and a reduction in discomfort. The fifth crucial step is consistent movement, though perhaps not the kind of intense, strenuous exercise that many individuals might instinctively fear. You absolutely do not require rigorous, high-impact exercise to effectively protect your nerves. In fact, for some individuals, extreme physical exertion, can actually exacerbate their existing neuropathy symptoms. What nerves fundamentally need is healthy, consistent circulation. Gentle, regular walking, particularly when undertaken after meals, serves a dual beneficial purpose. It helps to naturally lower blood sugar levels and significantly improves crucial blood flow to delicate nerve tissue. Even brief, manageable sessions of 10 minutes of walking can yield remarkable differences. When approached thoughtfully and correctly, movement truly embodies medicine for the nervous system. At this pivotal juncture, I feel it is imperative to directly address a common and profoundly significant sentiment that many seniors experience: a deep sense of discouragement upon learning that nerve damage, if not entirely irreversible, is at least agonizingly slow to heal. It is indeed an undeniable truth that nerves regenerate with excruciating sluggishness, if they regenerate at all, once a certain degree of damage has occurred. However, the powerful act of stopping the progression of damage is just as profoundly impactful and life-altering as a complete reversal of existing damage. Imagine the transformative difference: significantly less pain, a restorative quality of sleep, vastly improved balance and steadiness, and a drastic reduction in the frightening risk of falls. These are not minor improvements. These changes fundamentally matter and contribute immensely to a higher quality of life. One of the most insidious and harmful beliefs unfortunately instilled in seniors is the fatalistic notion that nothing can be done for their condition. This belief itself becomes profoundly dangerous, as it often leads to inaction and resignation. I have witnessed numerous individuals tragically give up early, only to experience a rapid and devastating worsening of their symptoms precisely because the underlying poison was never identified and removed from their lives. Allow me to share another impactful story. A remarkable woman in her early 70s sought my help, navigating her daily life with the aid of a cane. She felt chronically unsteady on her feet and lived with a persistent, paralyzing fear of falling, a constant shadow over her independence. She had been unequivocally told that her neuropathy was a permanent and unchangeable condition. Yet, when we meticulously stabilized her erratic blood sugar levels, painstakingly corrected her significant nutrient deficiencies, and rigorously eliminated all forms of liquid sugar from her diet, her nerve pain receded to such an extent that her paralyzing fear of walking even short distances dissipated. While she did not achieve a completely pain-free existence, the profound regain of her confidence and functional independence was nothing short of life-changing. This leads us to an absolutely crucial point that extends beyond mere physical discomfort. Neuropathy is not merely about the experience of pain. It is fundamentally about preserving one's independence, maintaining autonomy, and retaining the fundamental ability to feel the ground solidly beneath your feet, to react swiftly and decisively to environmental changes, and to place unwavering trust in the strength and stability of your own legs. Once neuropathy progresses too far, crossing that critical threshold of irreversible damage, the risk of debilitating and often life-threatening falls rises sharply and dramatically. Falls, tragically, represent one of the single largest threats to the health, well-being, and longevity of senior individuals. This dire reality underscores precisely why timing is of the essence. Early nerve damage invariably responds far better to intervention than advanced, deeply entrenched damage. Those initial sensations of tingling and mild numbness are not irreversible verdicts. Rather, they are vital, urgent warning signs. Powerful signals from your body, unequivocally telling you that something profound needs to change in your lifestyle and health approach. Now, allow me to provide you with a straightforward, eminently practical roadmap for regaining a significant measure of control over your nerve health for the immediate period of the next 2 to 4 weeks. Firstly, meticulously remove all forms of liquid sugar from your diet, without exception. Secondly, make it a steadfast rule to pair all carbohydrates you consume with a source of protein or healthy fat. Thirdly, restrict your fruit intake to whole fruit only, consumed in small, controlled portions and exclusively after your main meals. Fourthly, make a conscious effort to walk for at least 10 minutes after eating, whenever circumstances permit, to aid blood sugar regulation and circulation. And fifthly, if you have not had your vitamin B12 levels comprehensively checked recently, make it a priority to request this crucial test from your healthcare provider. While it is paramount that you never alter your prescribed medications on your own without professional medical consultation, it is equally important to cultivate an informed awareness of their potential long-term impact on your nutrient status. During this observational period, pay exceptionally close attention to what unfolds within your body. Diligently observe and document any changes in your symptoms. Many seniors report experiencing a noticeable reduction in burning sensations at night, a significant improvement in the quality of their sleep, and a newfound sense of steadier, more reliable balance. Even seemingly minor improvements hold immense significance, for they serve as compelling evidence that the damage to your nerves is not yet an unchangeable, fixed-in-stone reality. Here is something I wish to articulate with crystal clear precision. Any individual or entity promising a miraculous overnight cure for neuropathy is, regrettably, not being entirely honest or transparent with you. However, anyone who tells you that absolutely nothing can be done to alleviate or improve your condition is equally mistaken and misinformed. There exists a vast, expansive, and incredibly promising space between these two extremes. And it is within this nuanced reality that genuine, sustainable progress and profound improvements in your nerve health truly reside. Neuropathy, in most instances, is the cumulative and regrettable result of many years of quiet, often unnoticed damage. It is therefore entirely logical and reasonable to expect that meaningful improvement will similarly require time, consistent effort, and patient adherence to new, healthier practices. Nevertheless, the absolutely indispensable first step, the cornerstone of all subsequent progress, is always the resolute and proactive removal of the underlying poison that initiated and perpetuated the damage in the first place.